Hello and welcome everybody to the this is going to be an extension from the video we did before where we made this tree. Now this isn't the exact tree that we used last time, however it's going to do for the purpose of this tutorial. So this tutorial is going to be on how to change a 2D texture into a 3D looking texture. How do we make this tree look like a tree? Well, what do I mean exactly by that? I'll show you now. So if we look up as an example, if we look up a 2D tree, just as an example, right? You can see how it is. It's like a flat tree, right? Just a flat tree. You can see there's no depth to it. You can't see, is there a crack in the tree there? No. But if we look up a 3D tree, right? You can see that there is details in it. There's little holes, there's crevices, there's all sorts, there's a lot you can do with this, making it look like a 3D tree. So that's what this tutorial is going to be on about, is how to make it look 3D, how to give it depth. So let's go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and have a link in the description to some sites where you can download some free textures. What you want to do is, on the sites, you should be able to click on your texture you want. And once you've found your texture you want, you can go ahead and download it. Now you can download a 4K texture and a 2K texture. 2K means it's going to be a little bit less quality than 4K. However, 4K is going to require a lot more resources from your system. So if you're doing this off a laptop, I had highly probably only recommend you getting 2K or less resolution, because that's how many pixels it's going to be loading up on Blender every single time you use it. So I've already gone ahead and downloaded my tree, like the tree textures. So let's go ahead and jump into Blender. So let's start by going into the shading tab. And what we've got here is our textures for a leaf. So we're going to go and change that to our wood. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to drag our material output. I'm going to move it over there a little bit. It gives us a little bit of room to work with. Move that over the left as well. So once you've downloaded your file, you should be able to extract it and place it on the desktop. Inside of that file, we'll have some images. So we'll go ahead and grab our file, which should be in here under textures, under trees, and undo bark 1. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and select your rough map, your normal map, your height map, and that is going to be, and your color, which is going to be, your color should be fine. You don't need a color. We're going to use this color for the purpose of this tutorial. We're just going to keep it simple. But if you wanted to add a color, all you do is do a Shift A. You're going to go ahead and insert a image texture. And if you wanted your own color on there, you could go ahead and place it in like that, and then just get your own color. But we're going to leave this here for a second. We're going to press Shift D, and we'll go ahead and press Shift D again. And we'll go ahead and press Shift A, and we'll go ahead and put in a displacement. And with this here, we're going to go ahead and place this into displacement, just like that. We're going to go ahead and place our image texture here into our height, because we've got a height map. And we're going to go ahead and put it into a, so we've got our texture here, we've got our normal map as well. So we want to place that down there. And we do have a metallic as well, so we can go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and put our roughness into our roughness. And all we're going to do now is select our rough there. We're going to go ahead in here. I'm going to select our, this is going to be a normal. So we're going to go ahead and press normal. Right. And then we're going to go up here and choose our height map. So our height map. And as you can see, we've got, the texture has changed in the tree. It is looking a lot more natural. What we can do now is we can actually change the scale of it over here, just to give it a little bit more depth. And it depends on what you want. Obviously, you want it a little bit more of depth, but we don't want to make it like too depthy. So we'll go and do that, and we can go ahead and increase the mid level. And that's going to change the kind of where whereabouts it's looking at. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that we've done that, we can actually edit all this and to make it look a lot more natural, and there's parts like that don't match up, but we can always fix that later on. So it depends how detailed you want your tree to be. It's all up to you. So, moving on from that, so let's go ahead and do our leaves now. I haven't actually got a leaf texture, so we'll go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and look at our leaves. So let's go and look for, again, I'll leave a link in the description for all of these sites that I have found. There's multiple sites you can go for. These are just some I found. So we'll go ahead and we'll choose something like, I don't know, maybe Nordic moss, maybe. So let's have a look at that, what it looks like. We don't want 8K, although that will look very, 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 very detailed. We're probably just going to stick to either 2K or 4K at the moment. Just because, remember, the higher the resolution, the more pixels you're loading up at a time. So we're just going to keep it at 4K, because 4K is quite good, and you don't need to have it at a ridiculously high resolution to get good results. So we'll go ahead and let that download. It'll only take a few seconds to download. I'll show you the process of it. I will go ahead and pause and let you know. I'll be back when I've downloaded that file. Okay, so I've downloaded that file. So let's go ahead and we'll open that file, which I've just gone ahead and opened up there. And we can go ahead and we'll extract all that. And we'll go ahead and save that to our textures folder where we've got it saved to, which is in Roblox. Under textures, and it's under my, I'm going to place it as, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do grass, because I think this moss texture is going to work quite well actually. So we'll go ahead and call this, a new folder, and we'll call this moss, maybe is, yeah, moss. Select, okay, and we'll go ahead and extract that to that folder right there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select our other texture, which is going to be up here. We're just going to do the exact same. We're going to go ahead and, first of all, we're going to import it. So we're going to go to our folder here, desktop, Roblox, textures, grass, moss, and we're going to go ahead and add our displacement, our normal, and our roughness. So we go ahead and we'll do normal, a roughness, normal, that's what we want. And our displacement, another name for a displacement is a height map. Just so you know, you may find a file that comes across as displacement. You may find a file that comes across as, it's just named color, so not it's named height. But displacement and height are basically the same meaning. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and add our color in as well. We can go ahead and I think it's going to be one of these images up here. We can go ahead and add both of them in, and obviously it'll only be one of them. Make sure you don't import the EXR file. We'll go ahead and open them. Okay, so there we go. So we can tell it's the actual albedo.gpj there. So let's go ahead and press Shift A, search displacement. We'll do exactly the same as we did before. Press into displacement. And then we go Shift A, search image texture. Again, we're going to give us a little bit more room. And then we can go ahead and put a color into our height map here. Change this to our displacement. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and do Shift D again. And we go ahead and put this into our normal map, because that's going to be our normal map. And normal, which I think is this one. I'm just going to go ahead, yeah, 4K, so we'll go ahead and do that one. And as you can see, we're starting to get like a more of a mossy colour. Although it's not meant to be moss, it's meant to be leaves, but it's going to work for the time being, which is fine. Go ahead and do Shift A again. Import, Shift D on top of our thing. Grab that. Now we can go ahead and change that to, I don't know why I'm zoomed out so much. Okay. We'll go ahead and do this to the colour, which is going to be this green one here. We'll go ahead and put that into base colour. And that's going to give it, yeah, that's already looking like moss, right? That looks a lot more like moss. We can go ahead and do that as smart. Okay, and now we do have a roughness as well, so we can go ahead and do Shift D. And we can find our roughness. So, roughness, there we go. And we're just going to plug that roughness into the roughness spot, just like that. Again, smart, we're going to have everything that looks fine, yep. And then we can just go ahead and increase the scale. Until we get like an idea we want. So we're going to go ahead and do something like... And there's something like... I don't know, maybe it's like... oh, there we go. That's quite good actually. Yeah, why not? Why not? I think that's actually quite good. Although I know there is moss, like you can see that there is moss on it. It's going to do for the purpose of this tutorial. Obviously, you can adapt it to the way you want it to look like. You can do other stuff, but that's for future tutorials. So this is going to probably... Okay, so as I said, you see how we've got textures here that don't match up. Like we've got moss here. This will probably get away with if that looks like leaves, okay? But there's things like these little bits of like grass that don't make sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into UV editing. And we're just going to go ahead and select our top of our tree. And press... Okay, not that. We can go ahead and select the top of our tree. So we'll do that now. What am I doing? No. Sorry, need to think about this. So we need to press A. Select the whole of our tree. Right? Now we've got a whole of our tree. Now that is unwrapped nicely already. So we can go ahead and select our actual like branches of our tree. We should be able to just select the whole of the tree at the top here. We'll just go ahead and do that for the leaves as well. And do all the faces here. Just going to quickly go ahead and grab all those faces that we have visible. And we can have a look as we just go ahead and turn it into material view so we can see what we're missing. Rendered view. Right, oops, I didn't do that. Again, if you missed all my tutorials on Blender, sorry, my tutorial on Blender, I showed you how to make this tree in the episode before. And that also runs through a few basic things that you can use in Blender to get yourself going, so to speak. So I'm going to grab these last few faces here. Last few we've got here. And we should have all the faces selected. Okay. So now what we can do is we can select our colour map, because this is where it's going to be on the actual tree. This is what's going to project it out as. So we can press A. If we go ahead and we move this, move this on there. So A, G. You can see that it's actually moving on the texture on the tree. So that's really good. We don't want it to show up as this leaf texture, so this moss texture that we can see. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go press S. We're going to scale that down to probably about 100. Okay, no. 10? No. Point 100. Yeah, that's fine. Point 500. Okay, yeah, that's good actually. Yeah, that should be fine. So there we go. So now we've got more kind of like less of that weird texture. We can also probably rotate that around in here. So we'll go and do that. Now whatever you do in like changing here, it's going to project it out onto there. So if we go ahead and we rotate it round, we're going to get more of a nicer even texture. Now again, this is going to be probably irrelevant for you because we'll be using a different texture we've downloaded, but I'm going to try and choose the best texture possible. So, for example, like there's not really much of this weird grass stuff on the bottom there. So we can just go ahead and just play with it until we get something that we like until we like the kind of look of it. Until we get a nice kind of like balance between none of that weird green stuff. There we go, I think that's good. Okay, there we go. So just like that, we've got a tree. It looks awesome. And all we're going to do is all these little bits that have got the little bit of grass on, we're just going to select it. We're just going to move that into somewhere else and give it like another Like, you know, make these little weird bits disappear. Make them more natural. And that looks pretty good to me. Yeah, okay, we've got 1 or 2 bits here, which we'll grab. Just them 2 bits. Again, it's all depends on how much you want to spend, how much time you want to spend on it. We'll just go ahead and leave that for now. Okay, there we go. So now what we can do is we can just fix up our tree. So we go ahead and change this to our tree again. So it's going to be the... we can actually open that up. We haven't actually selected it on this image. That's because we haven't done the colour, so that's fine. So we won't do the tree for the time being. We're actually going to end the tutorial here, so thank you for watching. If you did like, make sure to drop a thumbs up and subscribe. My name's Ryan, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.